Hello my loves, welcome back to Zeke's Lunchbox. So today we're going to chat about art applications and open calls. Bit of an elusive subject matter and also a subject matter that isn't chatted about all too often on YouTube. So we're going to get into it today and I'll give you some personal notes and successful applications that I've made. So if you want to learn some tips about open calls and art applications, then keep on watching. Before we get into it, this video is specifically a topic asked from one of my patrons. I've transitioned my Patreon page to mostly be about giving art critique, art advice, basically one-on-one mentoring and teaching of sorts through that platform. So this subject is brought to you by a patron. If you want to curate what goes on this channel or get one-on-one art advice from me, consider becoming a patron. All my patrons have my full attention and I give as much love and care to those folks over there. So if you're lost on your art career and you want some more help with your craft, whether it be improving your skills or directions in terms of business, consider becoming a patron. Okay, that's it for me, so let's get into it. Today we are chatting about open calls and art applications. This isn't a thing that people talk about all too often. A lot of things in the art industry are actually quite elusive, so I'm hoping I can shatter some of that and spread some light on some things, give some personal notes of my applications that have been successful and some tips for you so you can go out, get that application, win that art competition, get that job. We're all here to lift one another up and grow as creatives. To give a little bit of background on what my history is on these applications and how to know that I'm giving you some legitimate advice is I've had a little success with applications in the past. I have had some success applying for art festivals. I've been in a couple of local art festivals like Art Not Apart and Critical Animals in Newcastle and in Canberra, just some local Australian art festivals. I've had some success applying for some public works in a couple of councils with the North Sydney Council in Australia. Because I've had a little bit of success in the past, I just want to give some tips because I feel like there are a couple of things that I've learned over the years that could be successful and help you to get that tasty prize and council money. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to clarify what this subject matter is. Art application or an open call is either a magazine, an art council, some kind of organization that's putting out an open call for artists to showcase their art for maybe an art competition or to get some kind of art opportunity. If you're an artist, you may be on Facebook and you see a bunch of applications through art groups. Talking from personal experience, I'm always on the lookout seeing what art competitions are out there and what opportunities are out there just because I'm always on the hunt. Let's talk about reputable open calls. You may be searching around and looking at open calls on Facebook. Now, some of these are reputable, but I would recommend everybody be vigilant and constantly research and look a little bit deeper into this open call. When you see these open calls on Facebook, make sure you give it a good Google search beforehand. It should have a nice reputable website with all the information on it, who the judges are, what the prize money is. A good application should show you previous winners. This is also good to take note of to see exactly who they're looking for. It should have respected and well-known sponsors. If a good sponsor is attached to it or a council is attached to it, you just know that it's a little bit more reputable and it's not just a scam of a place just trying to get your money. A good open call should also have good guidelines, including eligibility and criteria. Basically, you should be able to go to that website and have as much information as possible. If some of these things are missing, I would consider that a red flag. So just be vigilant and do your research before you apply for it. Lastly, another thing to look out for are minimal fees. I would again like for you to be vigilant with this to see if it is a reputable place to hand over your money. Any place that's asking you for money may not be reputable, or it shouldn't require a ridiculous application fee. I'm going to say anything under $50 should be acceptable, but even still, you need to weigh up whether or not it's worth it for you and if you have a good chance to win in this art competition. Going forward in your art career, I would make it a habit to every couple of months do a big troll through Facebook groups for local councils that you know have constant open calls. Don't underestimate working with your local council in your area. Local councils are always looking for artists. It's a really good habit to make those connections with being local, whether it's with local art galleries or local art councils. So make it a habit to plan ahead and maybe pop it in your Google Calendar like every 3 months, do a good troll and search around. Another thing is a bunch of art competitions and art councils happen annually. They often hold the same competition annually, or they're always looking for a muralist at a certain time every year. So it's a good habit to get into, to constantly pop that in your Google Calendar, or you know that every month of that year that call out happens. And that way you can get organized and plan your art, 6 months ahead, so it actually fits the requirements of that call out. Okay, so once you've organized and you've chosen a couple of good things to apply for, I think it's a great idea to make a boilerplate. So a boilerplate is a collection of information about your art. So an artist statement, a bio about you, your resume, or CV. I would try and accumulate all of this in a nice, neat, minimal PDF. Make sure it's not a million pages. I would say maximum have all of this on 2 pages maximum. When councils or art competitions, organizations, and they don't have time to find the information, you want to make it as convenient for them as possible. Make sure it's in a PDF as well, and a PDF that's a decent normal size so you're not smashing their inbox with a ridiculous file. Please do not, please, for the life of God, do not send a Word document. For all you know, that just won't work with their computer. Just send a nice, neat PDF. Make sure that this PDF also has all of your contact information, your website, your phone number. You don't need to put your address, maybe a postcode, and your name, and possibly your art name as well. Make sure everything that you submit to them is simple, neat, and convenient. Do the work for them. Don't make them do the work. That's the one thing that will make your application be in the toss pile. Once you have your boilerplate PDF, I recommend keeping this as up to date as possible. If you're really active, try and update it every 2 months. If you're not as active, you could update it every 6 months or so. I find that my bio is just constantly changing and needing updating, so make sure it's up to date as well. Next, let's move on to the criteria. When you're applying, make sure and ask yourself if you really fit this art application. Let's say you're applying for a mural with a local council. If you're an artist who primarily works with watercolor on paper and you have no mural experience, that is going to be a massive detriment. You want to make sure that you are capable of doing the job, or you are worthy of that prize money. At the end of the day, they'll be able to see that you were worthy of winning that application. So you have to make sure and ask yourself that you are eligible for the job. All right, the next step is to make sure you're sending in high quality images. If you are sending in a painting, make sure that painting is well lit, it's got good focus and good clarity. I know these things seem super obvious, but don't send in a dark yellow picture of a drawing. It just looks super unprofessional. You don't look reliable. The name of the game here is trust. They want to make sure that you are worthy of that money, or that you are reliable. Every little thing that you send in is going to be judged. So make sure that the image is high quality. It's a really inspiring image, an image that you're really proud of. You just need to demonstrate that you are trustworthy. Before applying, a good tip would maybe be ask around with a variety of opinions to fellow colleagues, fellow artists, even your family members, really good, reliable, objective people, to make sure that the image is clear and concise. It's kind of nice nice asking people who aren't creative as well to see if your image translates well, because the image or your artwork needs to translate and be accepted to a wide audience. Asking non-creative people is actually really great to get that feedback from. An organization wants to align themselves with somebody that's really exciting and inspirational. They want to prove that they've collected someone great under their wing. At the end, they want to align themselves with somebody exciting because they want to look good. So make sure that you prove that you are what they're looking for. Now you need to demonstrate that you fit well for the project and that you align well with the project. When you're writing your application to them, make sure you give information about the artwork, yes, but make sure you demonstrate how your artwork is going to improve their space or how it's going to align well with their organization. Demonstrate that maybe past winners have been similar and that you feel that your work fits really well in that way. Like I mentioned before, they want to associate themselves with somebody who's really great and really exciting. So you kind of need a bit of social capital and a bit of social proof as well. Don't be afraid to talk yourself up and mention other things that you've won possibly in the past, or don't be afraid to mention like articles that you've been featured in. Really look around and see what other things that you've done in the past look really exciting and prove that you are worthy for this prize. Okay, now this last thing I'm going to mention is a personal note. I'm going to go back to the age-old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. When applying for open calls or art competitions, having a mutual connection is going to speak volumes. Every single opportunity I've been given has been through a personal connection. Now, I'm not saying that I have a personal connection to the judges or anything, but I've always had a colleague or a fellow artist give a personal recommendation to whoever is in charge. It speaks volumes to know a wide network and leave a positive reputation everywhere you go, and to also have people say that you are reliable. So make sure you network and get out there. You can do lots of networking online. It's really difficult now because we're all social distancing, but we're more connected than ever, so there really is no excuse. Make sure you try and join as many Facebook groups as possible. If there are other artists that you know in your area, make sure you build a friendship and build colleagues over time. If you go to art school or a design school, make sure you build your network there. Schools aren't just for learning the skills, but they're also for networking. So make sure you leave a positive note with everywhere you go, because all of those colleagues may be the people and the key to getting you that opportunity. Every creative industry is actually very tiny and everybody talks, so make sure that you don't leave a sour note in anybody's mouth. Being connected and knowing lots of people is a big key to this. And the last note I'm going to give to you guys is to be positive and consistent. Joan Rivers used to have a saying where you only get hit by lightning if you're out in the rain. You've got to be in it to win it, basically. Make sure you're staying vigilant, don't take it too personally, and be crushed when you don't get a winning application. It's not the end of the world. The people who fail are the people who just stop doing it. So keep going, and trust me, a positive attitude and networking with lots of people is a big key to it. All right, my loves, that is it for me today. I hope that video was useful to you and you learned something out of it. If you have any further questions about this process, pop them down below. I will try and help you as well as I can. And if you like these sort of videos, make sure you give the video a like, as it helps my channel out quite a bit. And also, if that button there is red, tisk tisk, it should be a beautiful light gray, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, if you want to get more one-on-one art advice from me, consider becoming a patron. Don't forget, in between videos you can head over to my Instagram to see what art is going on in the Zeke universe. I also have a Facebook group as well if you want to continue chatting further and network with some more artists. And lastly, if you want to grab some Zeke's Lunchbox goodies for yourself, my store is freshly stocked with a bunch of new art art prints, consider heading over there and supporting the channel. All right, you guys, I will see you in the next video. Catch you later. Bye.